All right, welcome in everybody. Nothing But Net, our NBA show where we talk about nothing but basketball, baby. Been a long week. We've had a ton of NCAA games, March Madness going on, and a lot of NBA action as well. Seems like a good time of year, man. Lots of basketball. Seems like their NBA games are rolling right now. It's good to hear. But yeah, let's get into a little bit of LeBron James injury talk.
Yeah, that's something
Thoughts?
I do not like to see.
No.
It doesn't happen. When was the last time we've seen a real LeBron injury? Because there was that year where the Lakers weren't going to contend that he sat out a little bit, but he wasn't injured. I think this may be the most real injury that we've ever seen LeBron have, and it looked pretty rough on video. What do you think? How do you think it's gonna affect him moving forward this season?
So high ankle sprain, something I'm very familiar with because Michael Thomas was my starting wide receiver in fantasy football this year, and we saw a little bit of that with Devonta Adams in 2018 as well. So it's a little different in the NFL. Obviously, they're playing on turf, so injuries are a little bit more harsh, I guess, on your body than playing on the hardwood. So I think LeBron can come back. I think he'll be back by the end of the year. The only problem with that is we kind of talked about this too a little bit earlier. It's just it does linger, regardless of you being LeBron James or Jason Williams. It doesn't matter who you are. It's a injury that hurts. It feels bad. Doesn't feel good when you're running. Doesn't feel good on impact, landing, coming down from a dunk or a block. So I don't know. I think if anyone in the world overcomes it quickly, it's Bron.
Yeah, and I think it is encouraging that he got up and played a couple of possessions, and obviously it bothered him right away. But I think that shows that it was a minor high ankle sprain, if that's a thing. And in the video, you can see it starts to twist, but the weight of Solomon Hill didn't completely go on his ankle, which would have been disastrous. Even LeBron's ankle couldn't handle the full moving weight of a power forward or small forward in the NBA. With all this being said, I set the over-under for LeBron's missed games at only 6.5 just because I think LeBron is superhuman, and I've heard a lot of people speculate that he'll be back in 4 games, and it's like nothing happened. Some people are thinking it'll take a lot longer. What do you think, over or under 6.5 games?
Yeah, I'm smacking the over, and just because there's absolutely no reason for him to rush back in 4 games with a high ankle sprain and injury that it can reoccur, it can come back, it can linger. So smacking the over.
And I think you're right that there's not a huge sense of urgency coming back because I think the Lakers can make the playoffs with the start that LeBron has given the team with the team they currently have. And the West is jam-packed, but Anthony Davis will come back for a few games, so I can see why you'd slap the over, but it's LeBron. He's already been, the way he tweeted right after it happened, back like I was never gone, I feel like he was already giving us a hint into his recovery process and how he knows he's the best in the world at recovery. He put so much money into his body, and he's just going to be back right away. It'll just because it's LeBron, we take this injury, and like you said, high ankle sprains have tarnished people's performance coming back, and it can linger. But I think we're digging too deep into this injury because it's LeBron James, and I think he'll be back sooner than we expect, just because we're so not used to seeing him, and his reaction on the court was pretty intense. It's crazy though. LeBron, he doesn't miss games. You look back at his career, and this is a stat I heard on the Bill Simmons podcast, but 15 out of his 17 seasons, he's played at least 90% of the games. And one of those was that one of the years where it was under 90% was that year with the Lakers where they weren't contending.
First year with the Lakers,
yeah, and I don't remember what the other year was. But that's ridiculous. He's on year 18, 90% of the season every single year. He's approaching 50,000 regular season minutes. He's 61 shy. That's just an unbelievable number. And when you compare it to other guys in his class, it's astounding. The way he's been able to maintain his body and escape injury and escape those freak moments, unbelievable. Connor, you want to go through his
Yeah,
few
I'm
of
looking
his
at this
draft
list,
class.
and a couple of the guys drafted in 2003. The third pick, obviously, D. Wade. Really quick, going to throw Darko Milicic. I wonder what his career minutes are.
I looked. It was like, I think it was like 5,000 or something.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
Melo, 41. Bosch, 31. Kyle Korver actually hit 31. And Wade and obviously Bosch are retired. And Melo's up there. Melo's like 15th all time on minutes, actually.
Yeah, this is the insane thing. Carmelo has been able to sustain his body really well. I mean, he's still in the league, just like LeBron. Like, not a lot of guys from that draft class are still in the league. But LeBron, with that being said, has 9,000 more minutes. That's multiple seasons worth of minutes. That's almost 2 seasons
just regular
worth of
season.
minutes.
He has another 14 or something in the playoffs.
He has 10,000.
Yeah, 10,000.
He surpassed 10,000, and he's the only person in NBA history to do that. His maintenance of his body is, we've never seen it, and I don't know if we'll ever see anything like it again. It's remarkable.
Here's a question I have. How do I phrase this? Is there enough money in the world to go around to keep LeBron healthy, regardless of age? Meaning, so he spends whatever, like $1 million, $2 million a year on his body. If he spent $14 million, could he keep himself in the league till he's 50, or is there just human, in the way I see it, humans just at some point you just stop?
Yeah, I feel like there's a cap at this point. I think LeBron does the absolute most that you can do to maintain your body. I think in the future maybe there'll be more advancements that help people sustain, but it'd be weird. It'd be like AI. You can't you can't play basketball in the NBA when you're 50. Like, come on. I don't like that at all. But yeah, I don't think if he spent a few more million that he'd be healthier. I think there's a ceiling on that number spent on your body, and he, out of any athlete in the entire world, spends the most on his body. But we see the results. We see that it has paid off in a way, because he's going to keep making max money. I mean, he's 36 making max money. So with the LeBron injury, we also have to mention the LaMelo injury.
Real quick before we move on to LaMelo, do you think guys like Tiger, Brady, Bron, do you think they look forward to retiring in a weird way? Like, I know they're competitors and they want to keep winning, but does the idea of retirement petrify those guys that, they've spent their whole life playing basketball every day, or does it sound like freeing for them, like a weight lifted? What are your thoughts?
I think LeBron, in a way, is excited about different business opportunities and post-basketball career. You know what I mean? He's going to be one of the biggest entrepreneurs in the world, and his family. He does find a way to spend a lot of time with his family as is. I'm sure he'd like to spend more time. But you mentioned this last week. LeBron is one of those guys that you can tell he still enjoys the game. He loves playing, and that's why he goes out every night, even when he doesn't have to. There are other guys half his pedigree that take rest days, and LeBron's just out there having a good time, even expanding part of his game. Like, he'll get better in different areas because he just has a good time doing it. So I don't think he wants to finish his career anytime soon. I think he'll play with his son, or at least play in the league with his son, and that'll be super cool to watch.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Okay, but now let's transition to another injury that we saw that it was kind of heartbreaking, because LaMelo Ball has been one of the shining lights in the NBA this year. He's taken the Hornets into a position where they're going to be in the playoffs. Hopefully they can maintain that, because they still have a relatively deep team. But I want to talk about LaMelo specifically. Do you think, having played 41 games, that he can win Rookie of the Year?
The answer is no, and it hurts me to say. Edwards is probably going to win it, which is sad also, because that team is terrible. Tyrese Halliburton they're playing better as a team, not much better, but they're playing better as a team than the Timberwolves are. LaMelo should win it. I mean, it's hard to take a team like the Hornets and put them in, what are they, 4th or 5th, or in the East right now.
They're 8th, actually.
Are they 8th?
Yeah,
Jeez.
they dropped a little bit. Couple tough road games, I'm pretty sure, in the West. They dropped a few back, but it's all really close between 5 and 10 in the East.
Yeah, and it's relative because they were dead last, obviously, having the third pick last year. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, LaMelo's got a great future ahead of him, but yeah, not going to win rookie.
I'd say if the voting happened today, it would be unanimous. I think nobody would vote against LaMelo. He's been efficient. He's made this team win, and his stat line is ridiculous: 16, 6, and 6. Wow. I mean, you don't see rookies do that, especially on a team that's getting better. It's been really fun to watch him. He's made the Hornets a must-watch. Do you think Halliburton has any chance? Do you think any other rookie has a chance to? I feel like it's Anthony Edwards to lose now.
I agree. It is Anthony Edwards to lose. Halliburton would be up there. Wiseman could have an incredible second half of the year and get close.
That's an interesting take. Yeah. I like that. Wiseman's so talented. I can see that. I can see him having a huge second half of the year, but we already saw Anthony Edwards make that turn. It's his to lose. He's already averaging 16.7 a game, which was more than LaMelo, but his efficiency numbers are pretty poor. And as a basketball snob, it's kind of hard to give an award to somebody who's shooting under 40% from the field.
Do you think the T-Wolves would have, if they drafted again tomorrow, would they take LaMelo?
Wow. I think 2 weeks ago they say yes. But the glimpses of stardom that we've seen with Anthony Edwards starting to play well, no. I don't know if I would either. And I think most people would say that LaMelo should have been the number 1 pick because he's one of the best passers. When it's said and done, he'll be one of the best passers the game has ever seen. Plus, yeah, I mean,
that's
he came in.
Hot take.
Yeah, I mean, top 10? I feel pretty confident if he has a long career, if he stays healthy. I mean, a wrist injury, it's a little like freaky. It's not like one of those knee ankle injuries that's like common to basketball that people like will struggle with ongoing. So I'm not too worried about his longevity from this wrist injury.
When you say best passers, are you talking like assist numbers, or are you talking just eye test based off of the angles he finds and some of the flashier passes?
Yeah, I think it's eye test. I don't see him as a numbers chaser the way he's been playing this year. So because I think he could be averaging more than 6 assists per game if he was. I think he makes the right decisions, and yeah, he makes passes that other people can't. So to answer your question, the eye test, I think he's one of those guys that sees the floor in a different way, and that's only going to get better. He came into the league with that kind of awareness that most people will never find. So yeah, I back that up. I think when it's said and done, given a long career, he'll be one of the best passers the league has seen.
Do you think Jokic could potentially be as well? Or is he just a really good passing big man?
He is a really good passing big man, but you said it right on the nose. There's a different category, I think, for great passing big men. And he looks to be the best. Who are other great passing big men? Hakeem Olajuwon?
Hakeem was a good passer. I'm blanking right now.
I mean,
Karl Malone was a good passer.
Yeah, there's a lot of big guys who
Duncan
can pass, but
Duncan was a great passer.
But when it comes to night in, night out, and he's averaging near 10 assists, like you got to kind of match the ability with the numbers in that area, and Jokic is doing things that we don't.
Dude, Bill Laimbeer was a great passer, actually.
Yeah.
Bill Laimbeer was a great passer. Mm-hmm. Let's move on, though. Let's talk a little bit more about the injuries in the NBA's congested schedule. What are your thoughts on the congested schedule this year? Or what were you gonna say?
That was a question I was going to have for you. I was going to say, does the NBA have any blame in this list of injury that's starting to compile? Do you think that they rushed the season, jumped the gun? Do you think they've made the schedule too congested after games being missed for COVID protocols. The turnaround for the Lakers and the Heat was only 72 days. And to put that in perspective, that's a little more than half the time that a finals team normally has to turn around. And you got to think that the stress on the body, the body didn't have enough time to fully recover and then fully get back into form to get into the season. And then to pile on top of that, game after game after game, a lot of back-to-backs. I think they have a lot to do with these injuries starting to pile up.
So here's my answer to that, and this is me as a consumer, not someone dealing with the back-end work that the NBA does and TV deals. But, yeah, the short offseason for teams like the Heat and the Lakers, it sucks, but, yeah, we got to get the season rolling. We started it on, Christmas? Or around Christmas this year?
22.
And the answer is the All-Star break goes away this year, and they take – and honestly, what would be great is you move March Madness week 1 and week 2. You'd hey, let's have a week and a half off during these weeks, because I can't imagine the NBA numbers are great in the first 2 weekends of the tournament.
Wow.
So that's a great time to give guys rest, a great time to keep basketball moving, not miss a step, and then come back strong after when everyone's pumped on basketball and we roll it out.
You know what? I hadn't thought about that, and that's a fantastic take, because you're right. People have their eyes glued to March Madness, and that's taking away from NBA ratings. This year would have been a perfect opportunity to give the guys a week off, which they needed. And yeah, wow, that's a
the All-Star game shouldn't have been played this year. It was fun.
Great shout. Let's move on. We've been talking about injury too much, which is kind of a drag. Okay, so you had a meme pop up on your phone that you shared with me in the group chat.
Yeah, I'll take this. So, yeah, Sam, I had a meme come up on my phone, and it was essentially just like one of those weird Instagram, Facebook basketball pages that I love to follow. And there was a image of Shaq and Dwight, Kobe and LeBron, MJ, D. Rose, Kareem and Giannis, and then I threw Dirk and Luka on there as well. But of those guys, who would be most dominant in today's game? Which duo? And I want to rank them.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
So I'll go through one more time. Shaq and Dwight, Kobe and LeBron, MJ and D. Rose, Kareem and Giannis, Dirk and Luka.
Okay. So I just want to get started with saying that when I first look at it, LeBron and Kobe jumps out to me.
Yeah.
How can it not? It almost seems too obvious. But in this exercise, you kind of have to imagine D. Rose on his MVP season, and he's with MJ, who is a, best all-time guy. It's weird too, because a lot of these guys don't fit well together on a team, so it's hard to rank in that way. It's hard to be like, oh, put these guys on a team together.
Except for LeBron literally fits on any team ever because of his ability to play make.
Exactly. No, you're 100% right. Can you imagine Kobe having that freedom to roam like Kyrie does this year, being on a LeBron team? He was already unstoppable. Imagine if he had that freedom. Wow.
I think Kobe and Bron have to be one.
Yeah, let's give them number one. Kobe and Bron number one. It gets a little tougher.
What are your thoughts on... Yeah,
it gets a little tougher after number one. Shaq and Dwight, you use the word dominant, would be the most dominant in today's game. Like... Shaq, most dominant of all time, right? Most unstoppable. Dwight, when he was on the Magic, was ridiculous to watch. Just head above the rim. I saw Sports Science back in the day that said if Nate Robinson used as much force, like in pounds, as Dwight Howard does to jump, that his vertical would be 60 inches. And like Nate Robinson's vertical was still like 45 or like close to 50, but like Dwight is really pushing off the ground. What if the floor broke? Can you imagine? Like Shaq used to break hoops. What if Dwight?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. So in terms of like a dominant group, those two are very dominant. But I'm kind of a little biased towards people that would work together a little bit. So I'm not going to put them at number two. I think with MJ on the list, you have to at least give him number 2. That's my pick for number 2. MJ D Rose, MVP D Rose.
Yeah, I mean MVP D Rose was slept on. And dude, the year Dwight took that Orlando Magic team to the NBA Finals, I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think MJ and D Rose is next. Is great just because both of them played good defense.
Mm-hmm.
D Rose is a slept on defender in that year.
I mean, his athleticism.
What about Dirk and Luka? What about with the Euro boys?
It's so hard because Luka's only been in the league for a few years, but I really like that duo. They're 2 of my favorite players ever. These guys, they just do it in a different way, and that's really fun to watch.
Yeah.
So when it comes to this list, Luka, I don't think he's going away anytime soon. So I'm gonna look at it.
He's only getting
I'm gonna look at it through the lens of Luka getting better. He's not even to his prime yet. With Dirk, who's a top 10, is he a top 10 player to you? No. He's
all time.
He's a top 10 scorer of all time. I mean, literally, by number of points total.
Oh, by numbers? Yeah.
And it's not like he had an excessive athleticism in the second half of his career, so he figured out ways to do it.
I mean, he had an absolutely unblockable shot, and like we talked about a lot, signature move, where it's just...
But if you're talking signature move,
could
look
not
at
guard that.
Another name on this list. You got Kareem.
Yeah. And I just think that those two, Kareem and Giannis, there's absolutely nowhere on the floor for them to go. Neither one of them could shoot the 3. So it's like there's not enough room down low. I think they're my 5.
Yeah,
for sure.
You're biased
just
against
because
Giannis. I have to mention that. You're a little...
Yeah, I'm not sold on Giannis.
Yeah, but I agree. But I haven't spent a lot of time watching Kareem, so that could be part of that. I think, the hardest is to choose 3 and 4, Shaq and Dwight or Dirk and Luka.
I think it's probably Shaq and Dwight, then Dirk and Luka, only because Shaq. But you could put Alfred Payton and Shaq, and it's still
funny.
Like Shaq was.
It's funny because everyone sees Shaq as so dominant, but I still think he's a little underrated in the way people look at him in the top players of all time. Because when he wanted to dominate a game, he could, and he did.
Yeah.
That was a fun little thing to look at. Let's see here.
I love that. Could never happen, but let's talk about it anyways. Type deals.
Hypotheticals. They're the best. That's what makes the world go around. Speaking of greats and what it takes to be a great, what does the MVP race look like now that LeBron is going to miss some games and nobody's really making a strong case for it, except for, and you might not agree with me, Giannis. He's the only person making a case. I don't want him to get it because 3 in a row, come on. But, geez, he seems like the only guy that wants the MVP. I wonder what the Vegas odds are.
Did LeBron go 3 in a row?
No. I don't know if anyone gone 3 in a row. Did Mike?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Is I don't know. Mike didn't.
Yeah.
Mike only has 4, right?
No, he has more than Bron. Let me see.
But it would be incredibly disrespectful to give Giannis 3 in a row over Bron or MJ. But, I mean, I have to make an argument for Harden just because of the way he's completely flipped his game to becoming this amazing playmaker, team guy, scoring 19 a game or 22, whatever it is, 20 a game, high efficiency, high usage rate, and just absolutely dominating. I don't know if Luka and the Mavs make a good push in the win total column at the end of the year. I think Luka has a good chance because his usage rate is through the absolute freaking roof.
Yeah, unbelievable. Can I say something? I think both Luka and Jokic have a good chance now that a few of the key guys have gone down.
Jokic?
Yes.
Duh.
Yes. But here's the deal. Both of them are in the same situation. It hinges on how many wins that their team can get. Because Jokic isn't going to win it with a 5 seed in the West or a 6 seed in the West. The Nuggets are 25-19. That's nothing special. And I do think team success factors a great deal into this award.
Yeah.
Barring Russell Westbrook's first triple-double season where he got it. And even though his team wasn't super great, but I think, well, this is what I want to ask you. How many games do the Nuggets have to win for Jokic to get the MVP nod?
I'm pulling up the standings right now just so I can get it right. And then I also wanted to ask you really quickly, Paul George out of the question?
Completely out of the question.
Okay.
That's sure he's had a good year, but it's just I don't think anybody's thinking about it.
I think the first
be a bad bet.
Yeah. I think first half of the year he played really, really well. But the Nuggets are 25-17. You're right. I mean, they have to bump up, especially with the uncertainty with the Lakers now. They have to bump up to at least 3, if not 2, because I don't think the Suns are gonna. Maybe, dude, I don't know. The Suns are playing so freaking well, but yeah, I mean, the 3-4 spot, getting up there.
So
yeah, you're right. There's not a ton of guys that.
It's a 72-game season.
Oh, Embiid. Why are we missing Embiid?
Because he hurt himself. He's out. So him and LeBron are kind of backing out of this race a little bit, depending on how many games LeBron misses. Because there is speculation that LeBron's out for, say, 7-8 games, and the Lakers are horrible. And then he comes back and they make it have a tear. Then we realize, oh, this Lakers team's not so great. It's pretty much just LeBron carrying them, like he's carried it so many teams in the past. But yeah, the reason I brought this up is because Embiid was the clear cut, and then a lot of people after Embiid were like, LeBron is having quite a year, plus he's got those LeBron votes that we got to give him, and that he deserves because he's only gotten 4 when he, could have gotten a few more. So yeah, I think if I were to rank right now who I think would win it, it'd be, it's hard, but Giannis is the only guy really making the strong push.
Why do you say that with
the Bucks
they have the same record. They have the same record as Jokic.
Yeah, but they're third in the East.
Dude, that's like saying Popeyes is as good.
I'm just saying they had a slow start to the season, and Giannis is the one who's making a push now. So sure. He's the only guy that's jumping out, but he won't. I don't think he'll get it. But it goes Giannis, Jokic, Harden, Luka, for people who aren't Joel Embiid and LeBron James.
Yeah. But like you said, it's a big toss up there. Real quick, did you ever try that Popeyes chicken sandwich?
Yeah, I have.
What'd you think? These?
Good, crunchy, a lot of breading on the one I got. I thought it was good.
I get the spicy one.
Yeah, I got the spicy one too.
Chicken sandwiches are such a huge deal down here, man. Seriously, people have very strong opinions about chicken sandwiches.
So in Atlanta, what's the consensus? What's the best spot?
It's no doubt, without a doubt, Chick-fil-A. And I have an opinion really quick I would like to throw out there, and then we'll get back to basketball. So they talk about the South being like the Bible Belt, dude, and like everyone here loves Jesus. I'm just happy. And sure, man, like there's like some Christians down here, but I think in reality, it goes like Chick-fil-A, SEC football, Jesus.
Oh yeah,
and I think you would be shocked at the lines at Chick-fil-A. I think if on Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Chick-fil-A opened one random location somewhere in Georgia,
really, and
then sent out a tweet saying hey, this is the location that's open today, there would be people driving 5-6 hours every Sunday.
It's insane.
Chick-fil-A. It's like
even in Los Angeles,
it's insane.
There's lines there's no time you can go to Chick-fil-A where there's no line.
It's insane,
and it's good. I really like Chick-fil-A, so I don't want to hate on it.
I like Chick-fil-A, but it's not like that good.
But down in Atlanta, you think it's the one that people go to the most, the busiest spot?
Oh, without a doubt. There's a police at the one by my work. There's a police escort directing traffic every single day at lunch hour in the parking lot.
They have to.
Insanity.
Yeah, unbelievable. I would rank Chick-fil-A over Popeyes in my personal ranking, but I've had Chick-fil-A a lot more. And sometimes with big chains, the more you eat them, the more you want them, especially with Chick-fil-A, who pumps their chicken with MSG, with that addictive quality.
Sender.
All right, back to basketball.
Yeah.
I want to talk about something since I've finally started to watch a little bit of college basketball against my best wishes, because college basketball, it's hard to watch after watching so much NBA. I want to talk about good fits for these lottery pick teams. Today I watched Gonzaga play, and they're maybe the cleanest looking basketball. How do I put this? They play the best basketball in college. Everyone can shoot. They're always moving. They kind of remind me of the Hornets. But I watched Jalen Suggs, and I really think Jalen Suggs is awesome. Like, I think if Detroit could get their hands on him, it would be a great fit. He seems like one of those guys who's going to contribute right from the get-go. But after watching Jalen Suggs and getting excited about Detroit potentially picking him up, I checked out a mock draft, and it goes...
That's exactly who...
Yeah, that's exactly who was on the list for them, and I couldn't be more optimistic about that. If Detroit falls to the number 3 pick, Jalen Suggs, and Jalen Suggs also falls, I mean, he's going to help Detroit be decent. Maybe not right away, but moving forward, it's a reason for optimism. But let's talk about the mock draft as a whole, or no, let's talk about the first 5 picks. It says Minnesota with the number 1 pick, Cade Cunningham, and from what I hear, he's a tier above, and there's no way a team doesn't pick Cade Cunningham number 1. That's what I hear. Have you been able to watch him at all?
I've watched a little bit of him. Yeah, he looks nice.
Yeah, I haven't watched a ton of him. I heard his jumper's super smooth. People think he could be one of those guys who shoots 45% from 3 at some point in his career. I hear he's got that clutch factor. He has those intangibles down the stretch. He makes tough shots. He makes the right decisions. So maybe we just don't even talk about him, because we know he's going number 1. We'll just have to see who gets the number 1 pick. Number 2, Houston, Evan Mobley from USC. Haven't watched a ton of him. I think he's a big guy. Let me check.
Yeah, he's power forward.
Power forward. He's pretty lanky,
freshman,
right?
Man. He's young.
Good pick and roll defender. And definitely,
he looks like KD. He's like 210 pounds.
7 feet.
7 foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So he's got that NBA body that everyone loves for some reason, even though it only works out for half the guys. Shout out Thon Maker. I was a little excited when Detroit got him a while back, but come on, man. You didn't.
Big Thon. Remember Hadim?
Yeah, dude. Miss Hadim. He was so nice. One of the nicest people.
Yeah, he was good.
That I've ever had a privilege to meet and talk to. I wish I could see him in the NBA. All right, so we talked about Detroit being number 3 on the mock draft and Jalen Suggs being the guy. And like I said, great fit. He seems like he has some leadership qualities. His jumper's really smooth. And as the NBA progresses, it's just so important to have a good 3-point jump shot. But I want to talk about... So number 4 and number 5 are Orlando and Washington. And they're projected to pick Jalen Green and Jonathan Kuminga, both who bypassed college and decided to play in the G League. And I want to ask you, do you think guys who went straight to the G League are going to have an advantage when it comes to adjusting to an NBA environment? Do you think they're going to impact their teams more from the get-go, even though they're still being picked a little bit lower? Do you think having a year to work out with, floater NBA players who go back and forth and maybe getting a little advice from guys who are older than them, do you think they're going to have an advantage starting the year? Or do you think college is just as important of an experience for these guys?
Yeah, this is an interesting subject, truly from just a psychology perspective, because I think going to college and making the mistakes that you make in college and going through some of the ups and downs and the dorm and that life, I think that builds character in a way. And I think that some of the, dude, what are you, like 18 when you're a freshman in college? It's like
insane.
17, man. Like, you're so young. And there's so much to learn still. And I think LeBron would even say, and I don't quote me on this, but I think if he could do it over again, he'd probably go to college for a year.
Ohio State. And he talks about Ohio State a lot.
Yeah. If Cleveland could still get him or whatever, I think it was crazy how that all worked out. But yeah, so my thought is college is important, but you're playing against better competition in the G League.
Yeah, without a doubt.
It might not be as intense, but there's not big moments in the G League. There's no tournament where you're getting prepped.
That's the angle I just wanted to bring up. I think the guys who stayed in college, who are playing in March Madness, they'll be more adjusted to the fame that comes along with being in the NBA. There's not a lot of eyes on the G League. That there's no arguing that. But I guess we'll have to wait and see, because this is new. This is pretty new for all of us. But we saw how LaMelo playing in a professional league translated for him. LaMelo was playing in Australia, played over in Eastern Europe. He came in being the most ready out of all the rookies this year, and I didn't think that was going to happen. But yeah,
I think LaMelo could have been even better if he played in college for a year at UCLA.
That's speculation, but he came in and he's been rookie of the year so far. Yeah, I mean
he's dominated.
Yeah, dominating is a good word. There's no other rookie that's really close to the impact he's made. But yeah,
are there any dark horse college players that you think could be valuable? Or be an 8 to 10 pick or whatever that could play as a 1?
I'm trying to think, because the college basketball team I watch the most is Michigan State, and it's pretty much the only team I watch, because I got loyalty for my Spartans, but that doesn't mean I love watching college basketball. Especially that team without a point guard was really tough. They had a lot of pieces, but they were missing that Cassius Winston.
They were missing Cash so much.
Yeah, but I saw Aaron Henry was down somewhere in the 50s on the mock draft, late second round. He's got pretty high level athleticism, a decent mid-range jump shot, a nice little teardrop, great on defense. I think a team picking him late in the second round would be getting a nice piece, although I don't see any star power there. But like I said, I don't watch a lot of college basketball. Is there any name that you have, Connor, that you think like this guy's gonna really turn out? Ayo Dosunmu from Illinois, maybe, and people are pretty high on him.
No, I think Moses Moody and Keon Johnson. Moses Moody is at Arkansas. He's been playing good, and Keon Johnson is Tennessee's go-to bucket getter. He looks good too, but. It's interesting as I'm looking at this mock draft, the first 10 picks are all freshmen.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. I mean, how good do you think some of these guys get coming into the league if they waited until their junior year? Do you think
hard to say.
They should just send it as a freshman?
It's hard to say, because if you wait till your junior year, you're missing 2 years of progression in the NBA. But a lot of times by that point, you kind of get spit out because you can't really compete with these full-grown adults. These guys would obviously develop in college. They'd develop a lot of maturity. Their game would develop, but would their game develop as much as it would if they have those 2 years in the NBA? Because we saw Ben Simmons go to the NBA, sit out, and then for the whole first year, learn a lot, come back, get Rookie of the Year as a second-year guy.
Yeah.
It just showed how much of an advantage it is to be in an NBA system. For him, it's different because he's not trying to make a spot. He had the spot. He has the athleticism. Everyone knew he was going to be in the NBA for a long time. With some of these guys, they might get tossed to the G League and they might get forgotten. So for some of these guys, the right decision would be to stick around and play more college. You've seen guys like Donovan Mitchell stay an extra year, and or did he stay all 4, or did he just stay 2? Yeah. He stuck around a little bit, and he's unbelievable. I feel like a lot of times the guys who make an instant impact are the guys who are 4-year guys or 3-year guys or even 2-year guys. I think that second year is a big deal.
There's a big difference between 18, 19, and especially 19 and 20. And I agree with you, but We're getting towards the end of the show here, but I wanted to talk about Knicks and Thibs and them just getting absolutely pulverized by the refs again. And it's seeming to be this habit of NBA refs to just give it to
I
them
know,
where
Connor,
it
you were
hurts.
telling me about this whole conspiracy about refs wanting narratives, but what would be better for the NBA than the Knicks being good? The Knicks being good is great for ratings. That's the biggest market in the world, or in the United States. It's the biggest market. These refs are screwing them over. And do you think it's just a characteristic of Tibbs' teams? Like, they work hard and then they get screwed over. It's because they play hard defense, and now hard defense is a foul now. Maybe that's part of it. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's frustrating for me as like a basketball purist. I want to see guys hustling. I want to see guys,
and that's why the Knicks are so
making
great
plays
to watch.
on the defensive end.
The Knicks play defense like they're in college, shooting 42%, and all they can do is defend.
And we talk about this a lot. The NBA, they're scoring more, so more people are going to watch. We're getting, more highlights. But how many people do you hear complain about the lack of intensity in NBA games? I think the NBA needs to go back towards a little bit more aggressive style
That
defense.
comes with rules reform, which I think should happen. I think the NBA and the refs need to have a few rules updated to make for a more fast-paced physical game. And like you said, a lot of people do argue or complain about the lack of intensity, the lack of defense. I think the offense is improving tremendously. There's better shooting than we've ever seen. The systems get people open. The talent is unbelievable, better than it's ever been. But there is a lot of intensity. I think there was a period of time, maybe 7-8 years ago, where it looked like teams weren't trying. It was like a leg. Like, for some reason, defense wasn't happening, and the intensity wasn't there in the regular season. But I think in the past few years, I've been watching a ton of NBA basketball, and almost every night, the guys care. They want to win. There's a lot of meaningful games going on, and I think that is a misconception at this point. It's a misconception that these guys aren't going hard, and maybe it's the score lines that are convincing people that there's a lack of intensity because the score lines have been so high. But like I said, the offense has never been better, and that's part of the reason with these high score lines and the schemes and the coaching. Everything about the game is improving except for the pace of play ruined by the refs.
Can I jump in here real quick and comment on that? Because I agree with you that the NBA offenses have gotten a lot better, but we do need to do something about the fouling, because I spend a lot of time when I'm watching NBA games watching guys shoot free throws.
Hate it.
There's too many free throws, and they take too long, and they're boring. Like, I'm just going to be honest with you. But I totally also agree with your point where there's been a lot more intensity in the last 2-3 years, and I think part of that is because KD is not on the Warriors, and also teams are seeing that LeBron-led teams, I guess, not being in the East, like that whole conference has gotten more competitive.
That was a huge thing, I think. You're right.
Yeah.
LeBron moving to the West made the East really intense.
Yeah. So, I agree. Yeah. Hit Julius Randle in the Knicks. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, okay. So, I was watching the game last night, and like we were saying, they got screwed over by the refs. But what happened? Here's what happened. Okay, so there was a shot. The Sixers were shooting down one. About 5 seconds left. Whoever it was, Shake Milton maybe, misses the shot, and the Knicks get the rebound. The ref calls a loose ball foul under the hoop. The foul was Julius Randle pushing Tobias Harris in the back. You know how a lot of NBA guys do subtly to like get the guy out of position for rebounding. And you could argue that is a foul, and that was just Julius Randle not thinking for a split second. But Tobias Harris wasn't anywhere near the rebound. To me, it's a thing you see as a ref, and you're like, these guys are scrapping down there. Let's let it go. The Knicks got the board. They got the stop. They didn't foul. And then the Sixers got completely bailed out by it. And it was not a hard push, but the Sixers got completely bailed out by a slight push in Tobias.
Julius Randle is a lot stronger than he looks, though.
But
I bet
I know.
if he poked me, I'd probably fall over.
I think he looks strong. I think he's just as strong as he looks. But it just wasn't one of those things that was an obvious call. And due to the fact that Tobias Harris wasn't anywhere near getting the rebound, I think you don't make that call. I think it's ridiculous. And then Tibbs tried to challenge it, and they, for some reason, wouldn't let him. And I was shocked. I just don't get it. Refs have a hard job, but you're supposed to be good at your job. People who have jobs, you're supposed to be good at that job.
Yeah, especially when you're playing in the NBA or you're
these
reffing
guys get
in the NBA.
$500,000 a year.
Well, not only that, but like you're what 30, 40, 50, 60,000 people are watching every night, and
you know it's on camera. You know you're going to get caught out. There needs to be a better way to review, or to I just don't know how, because the review system has ruined the Premier League this year too in soccer. It seems like the more we review, the worse the games get. But then at the end of the day, people just want the right call. So, man, I don't know what to say about that. But watching the Knicks get screwed over time and time again has been really hard, because I like how they're having a good year. I like how they have a good chance to make the playoffs, and they're going to be one of those hard out teams. They're trying. Every minute of the game they're playing defense, and that's just good for the NBA. Without a doubt. Last night was 101-100 with an overtime. That is a low-scoring game, and more low-scoring games will help. I enjoyed watching basketball the most when the 2003 Pistons were locking teams down to 70 points, locking the Lakers down to a 68-point game in the finals with Shaq and Kobe. Come on. It was the game shorter? Like, I can't even believe that number. It's as if the game was 20 minutes long. Kobe and Shaq.
That's the big Ben effect.
Unbelievable. Because the offensive skill on the Lakers was pretty. They had Kobe. Come on, they had Shaq. Shaq can score at will. 68 points. Wow. And I love that. That's fun to watch. People always find out that defense is fun to watch when it gets down to it, because what's fun to watch is effort and intensity, and that comes with defense.
Yeah. It's like kind of like the MSU Duke game last year, like the last 5 minutes.
Gosh.
Oh, it was so
And
fun.
luckily those
Especially
were two good teams with NBA prospects, because they were also making tough shots while having an extreme level of intensity. Man, that was the last time I really got to celebrate at Michigan State. That was right before I graduated, and we got to go burn some couches. Man, yeah, that's crazy. That Final Four, when we beat Duke, though,
unbelievable.
We really thought that we were going to win the championship, and then dumb old Texas Tech had to come on and beat us.
That defense was insane.
They deserved it. They were awesome. Texas Tech played unbelievably. And boom, my parlay does not hit, Connor, just as an update from my betting, my gambling. Timberwolves cannot beat the shorthanded Thunder.
I'm going to throw one thing at you, and then we'll wrap it up. This is kind of goes back to the 03-04 Pistons team, but Rick Carlisle was not the coach. But I think Rick Carlisle is super underrated as an NBA coach. I don't know. Have you
watched he's just Mavericks recently?
Yeah, he's done an unbelievable job with Luka, developing players, making players fit into a scheme or fitting his scheme around the players that he has. And Kristaps Porzingis has developed in a lot of areas. I don't think his scoring has developed an exponential amount, but he's developed as a playmaker, as a passer out of the low post, and he's developed in his positional defense. His blocks per game are actually down, I think, from the last time I checked, but he's in better position. So, I
completely agree. Rick Carlisle's doing a great job in Dallas. Dallas is one of my favorite teams to watch, and that's mostly because of Luka. But when Dallas is on, I'm tuning in because it feels like you're watching greatness be born.
How much credit do NBA coaches get for developing their younger guys? How much should they? I'm sorry. How much credit do you give coaching and system for developing rookies?
I think the Spurs have proven that a good organization can really develop players. There's a lot of players who get drafted by the Spurs late, and all of a sudden, 5 years later, you're like, oh, that guy's a good role player floating around the NBA.
Kawhi.
Think about, Kawhi is an extreme example because he turned out to be a superstar. But I think about Bryn Forbes a few years ago. Under athletic, just a smooth jumper.
Sparty.
Yeah, another Sparty, of course. I have the deepest knowledge about my Sparties. You love Bryn Forbes, but now Bryn Forbes, 3 years later, is on the Bucks playing a relatively sizable role and making a lot of threes at a high percentage. And the list goes on. I mean, every rookie that goes through the Spurs system, they turn into an NBA player. So I think they prove that the organization and the coach deserves a lot of credit in that area. And a lot of times they don't get it.
Yeah, I think Pop is one of those coaches that do get their credit more so than a Rick Carlisle. But yeah, man, I would have loved to see Cassius get drafted by San Antonio.
I know. Unfortunately, he went to a guard-heavy trash shoot in Washington.
One more coach, Eric Spoelstra.
Unbelievable coach. I think everyone remembered how unbelievable he is when he took Miami to last year's finals, because he won championships, but every basketball fan in the world is going to be like, LeBron, LeBron did that. LeBron orchestrated that whole situation, and he was on a team with Dwayne Wade, and they were going to win regardless. And you might be right, but in that scenario, you might be right. But he did an unbelievable job in maintaining that situation, make sure nothing wrong happens, make sure they figure out how to play together in a beautiful way. And then after the blow up, there wasn't a blow up. Usually when those things end, there's a blow up. We see that with Houston right now. They've lost 20 straight games. 20. They're up right now at halftime against the Raptors.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think Spoelstra, and I think the fact that there was no blow up speaks more to Wade, Bosch, and Braun than it really does Spoelstra, just because those guys are such class acts as people. But Pat Riley hiring Eric Spoelstra, who was a videographer, I believe, to start his career, and putting him as a head coach, and then to what's happened now. Do you think if Eric Spoelstra was coaching the Sixers or the Bucks, do you think they are much better than they are now, or even Boston?
That's a good question.
Because
those are three teams with highly respected coaches, with really good coaches.
Yeah.
Doc Rivers is doing a great job so far at Philadelphia, so I don't think I can even talk about the Sixers yet without seeing what happens to end the season, because Doc Rivers has made the Sixers relevant.
I can tell you.
I
can tell you what's going to happen there. It's a fat choke fest because it's Doc Rivers' classic move, and along with every player on the Sixers team. So keep going.
Okay, well, you're entitled to your opinion. But
I appreciate that.
I'm not saying I disagree with you. I'm just saying I want to give him his chance before saying what coach would be better, because he's so far done a great job. And that's the regular season, so who knows. But with Boston, I mean, it wasn't long ago when we thought Brad Stevens was a magician and that he was just an awesome coach. But now, how are they not winning?
I actually have been a huge Brad Stevens advocate in the last few years, but after this year, I'm out. Done with Brad Stevens.
I somewhat agree with you. I think that there's no real excuse for how poor they've been with all the talent they have. Man, they should be a lot better. And then Budenholzer with the Bucks, is that the?
I love Booty. Love Booty.
So we're talking about three good coaches, great coaches in some respects, or for a time. Brad Stevens being the one slumping.
Doc Rivers slump.
Yeah, Doc Rivers. I kind of have similar thoughts on Doc because those Clippers teams, he had a window where he had a chance to make some finals happen or to win the whole thing, and he just couldn't do it. So, but he has that championship with the Celtics, so everyone's gonna look back on that forever, even though that was the first curated super team.
That championship was built off of Kevin Garnett's heart, and that's solely.
I love Kevin Garnett so much.
I want to, I guess, just wrap this up, but Jimmy Butler, like, taking that team last year in the bubble, which I think actually was a huge year for coaches, where like things needed to be on point when your system needed to be on point with the coaching staff. But that Sixers team that had Butler, insane. Minnesota having one of the most hard-nosed, nose in the grindstone kind of guy when they had him, and now the Heat. I mean, taking them to a championship last year. Like, what happened with Jimmy Butler? What happened with those teams?
It's a culture fit. I think Jimmy Butler finally landed on a place that was going to buy into his intensity. Everyone on Miami wants to win. Everyone's running for loose balls. Plus, there were pieces around him that fit really well. I mean, Duncan Robinson, brilliant shooter. Tyler Hero with his swagger that's unexplainable. And I thought that was he's that kind of guy who will hit a step back three to end the game, and you're like, why is he even on the court? But then he proves over and over that he's just got the clutch gene. You got to have him out there.
Yeah.
Bam, had a really good year last year.
Disgusting. Bam's so good.
I like Bam a lot. It just seemed like one of those things where none of the teams before were really that great of a fit. I don't think it was his fault at all. I think Jimmy Butler plays with a certain intensity, and if others don't buy in, that intensity kind of rubs people the wrong way, and it almost weakens the culture. With that being said, Jimmy Butler has got the Heat back on track, and they look like they're going to have a chance to stir up the playoffs a little bit. Maybe not like they did last year, but they're going to be in the playoffs. So a good episode tonight.
Sweet. Sam, we'll finish it off with who do you want to see win this NCAA championship 2021?
I'm fully bought into Gonzaga. Nobody else is winning this tournament. Thank you for listening. This is the Nothing But Net podcast. We'll see you next week.